Hello, friends. Killer Bee here. Have you ever wondered how all those railroad cars know where to go? Or trains, for that matter. And how did they used to do it? Well, that's what this video will be about. All the aids and resources that railroads have at their disposal to keep everything straight.
There are over 1.5 million freight cars on the North American rail system. Keeping track of their location is a crucial task. Until the 1980s or so, railroads had station agents that kept track of the car's location. They would make what was known as a physical check of their tracks. They handled demurrage calculations and assessed intra-plant switch moves and made up the switch lists for the trains working there. So as long as they knew where the cars were, everything was fine. Conductors didn't have to show much detail where they placed cars. With the move to computerize and eliminate people in the field, things had to get more precise. The old-style industry maps, such as this Chicago and Northwestern one, wouldn't cut it anymore. Conrail Zone Track Spot books are good examples, also known as ZTS books or ZITs. The railroad is divided into zones, within which are the tracks, and the tracks have individual spot numbers, if applicable, as some industries may have multiple car spot locations and need to specify which location they want a car spotted at. Using Wisconsin Central paperwork as an example, on the conductor's work order would be the zone, track, and spot location a car was to go to or be picked up from. They would fill in their work order as they did the work, showing where they placed the cars and when, or where they picked them up. At the end of their trip, they would fax it in to the clerks, who would then show in the computer where the cars ended up. If the conductor wasn't familiar with where the cars went, or where it was, he could refer to the ZTS guide and find the track. Now the paperwork has mostly gone away, with the train crews having handheld electronic devices. They can show the cars being spotted or picked up as they do the work. Next is the track chart. These are the creation of the engineering department and show a lot of details of the track, kind of like a track map. Similar to ZTS books, each railroad creates their own, but they are all generally similar. Here's a page out of a Conrail track chart book for the Toledo to Elkhart main line. It shows a 10-mile section. Zooming in, we see one line for each track. Crossovers, signals, road crossings and the names of the roads. G shows the crossing is equipped with flashers and gates. Curves, degree of curvature, elevation change and percentage of the grade, mileposts of the road crossings, mileposts of the railroad, and I presume the number of feet between mileposts. Here is track-specific information. Year. Rail weight has the 1 dropped, so 40 is 140-pound rail. So a little trivia. Looking at a Wisconsin Central track chart covering milepost 140 to milepost 150 on the Waukesha subdivision south of Fond du Lac, we see that the grade at the top of Byron Hill is a few ticks under 1%, and it crests right at the County F overpass. For comparison, here is an old Chicago and Northwestern track chart page, most likely from the 1970s or earlier, covering 10 miles of a line now long gone between Iron Mountain and Watersmeet in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. The implementation of Positive Train Control, or PTC, has given today's train crews electronic track charts in the locomotive. For territories where PTC is in effect, the next several miles are shown on a rolling display. Kind of a relative to the track chart is the interlocking diagram. Where railroad tracks crossed each other, protection had to be implemented to give a train on one route the right-of-way. For low-density routes, a swinging gate or stop sign sufficed. For busier lines, interlockings were put in place. Many were originally controlled from the location, with the control operator in a tower. Usually railroads had interlocking diagram books. Here is the Chicago and Western Indiana's book, with the drawing for Burnham shown. Over the years, the interlockings would be either automated, with the approach of a train to the crossing triggering a signal to proceed on a first-come, first-served basis, or remote controlled by the train dispatcher, with the crossing incorporated into a CTC installation. Last, and my favorite reference guide, is the Valuation Map, or VALMAP for short. They were created due to the Valuation Act of 1913, so most of these were created between 1915 and 1920 under the direction of the ICC, the Interstate Commerce Commission. They were to help the ICC determine the valuation of the railroads, to in turn aid in determining fair rates. They are highly detailed maps that inventoried the right-of-way, track layout, buildings and structure locations, and other engineering details for the entire U.S. railroad system, mile by mile. Each sheet measures several feet by several feet, and originals were generally ink-drawn on linen. So they are uniform across all the railroads. Each individual railroad maintains theirs. An index map gives an overview. Here is the index map for the Soo Line from Weyerhaeuser, Wisconsin to Rhinelander, showing which segment is covered by which map. In general, there were two kinds. The right-of-way and track map, which gave the mile-by-mile detail, and the station map, which gave an exploded view of an area. Transactions involving railroad land were recorded on the map. Be advised, many measurements on the maps are based on survey stations. They have incredible detail and are a great snapshot of both the railroad and its surrounding area 100 years ago. Here is the former CNW Green Bay, Wisconsin depot and its surroundings today. Only one track remains. Here is what it looked like 100 years ago. And the longer you look at these maps, the more you see. Many railroad historical societies have VALMAP collections. And some maps can be accessed online through the National Archives. Simply type in National Archives Railroad Valuation Maps and click on the National Archives selection. You will be brought to this page. Scroll down the page until you find your desired selection. Now, a word of warning, don't get too excited. Many of these listings have not been scanned yet. You will have to see if your favorite railroad is or isn't yet. I am going to the Milwaukee Road, well, actually their predecessor company. At my desired selection, I click on the blue link. Now select the box containing Search within this file unit. If it is a yellow box that says Not Yet Available Online, then you are out of luck. Assuming you can continue, you now finally get the page with all the individual maps. I scrolled down and selected the station map for Division Street Yard on Goose Island in Chicago. So, have fun! Well, I hope you have enjoyed and gained some knowledge from this. As always, please subscribe if you haven't already, as more of these are coming. Thank you. Bye for now.